Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's March 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And this is going to wrap our week up as well. No chart lessons on Friday, so we won't have another one until Monday. But we had a pretty good trend down today. There weren't a lot of entries today, but most of the ones that were, or I shouldn't say most of the ones, but several of them had really good runners on them. So you didn't need but a trade or two. Um, but there was enough to and a good enough and a decent enough downtrend where it was a pretty good day. So there weren't as many entries as I would normally like, and it just seems like lately you got to be real careful with some of these that normally I wouldn't be afraid to take, but lately this thing is just all over the place. So you got to be real careful, except in strong downtrends, about entering too close to the lows. You know, normally I would say there's a couple of them here, like right here. Normally I'd want to take that trade, but lately I'm afraid of that trade because it's too big a chance that it goes a tick or two and finds the bottom and moves, or then you lose. And normally I probably wouldn't be scared of this trade, but you're right into almost a double top there, so I'm a little bit leery of that one. You're looking for a new low here, so being that close to that high, it may just tick up a couple ticks and turn back down. And notice you really got two legs up. Um, there's your first leg up, and then you would have had leg two. And you notice we got basically a perfect measured move, and then you got that little trap. But I was afraid of this one because it wasn't a very good signal bar. So you're better off to wait on that lower high, and then when the lower high comes, you've already had one leg pretty good move down, so you hadn't recovered enough. You want to see probably another attempt up, and when you made this double high, I still think you need a lower high, and that doesn't come till right here. So then you get a chance to enter, and it looks like it's going to fail, but it just gives you a second chance to enter. So, like I said, a lot of times I probably would take that trade, and it would have worked this time as well. But notice how it just kept going sideways, and it could have easily come up and stopped you out and made that new high here after before working down again, because this is a pretty good trend down. So I'm expecting that we're probably going to get a new low before we reverse, and we actually finally get it here. But it took a little while to get it back down there, and so you just have to be a little, and lately you just got to be a little bit more diligent about some of these trades. If there's not room to enter, you better be real careful. So, um, and it's not always like that. But that's why we have that rule, because it does happen a lot, and lately it seems to happen more than normal. So, but anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll move ahead. And notice we traded down into this trend, so the odds are is we're probably going to succeed on a breakout to the low side. And then I measured this leg. I measured this big move down as well, and then let's just go ahead and show you. You'd want to measure that one, and then we started lower again. You'd put this over, and then notice we went much further than that. But then I would measure this one and move it over, because your more current ones are usually more accurate. You can see that's really close. We actually bounced to the tick before we made one more little push lower and then turned up. So always remember to look for those measured moves. So let's talk about the trades. Notice we had one leg down, a little correction, another leg down, and then we tried to go higher here twice and failed. And what I like about this one is it breaks above here and then turns down. So this is a second entry short, and you might have let it break. You could have actually put your stop right one tick below that, or you could have waited for it to break lower and then dropped a limit order, and you would have got filled at least a tick back into that bar, and that would have given you a little more room going into that double bottom. Um, so, normally you might have, there's actually a failed second entry long here, and that does confirm that trend line. But like I said, going short right there without a really good signal bar is just not real smart. And that's actually way back in the overnight anyway, so nobody's probably going to be here. But if you'd had a good signal bar and this was during after 7 o'clock, I would have probably liked entering here. but we just don't get that. And it's right into the EMA. So, but then you get the new low, first entry, pull back, second entry. And notice there's some resistance right across there too. And that's like a little failed break higher. So that's another reason to like that one. That's a pretty quick and nice move. But you got a break and you really got two legs down. You try to come back. And this one is not a very good signal bar. You got to go short right into the lows. So you're better off to wait. And, and notice it would have been about, you would have got 5 ticks, and it would have been a 4 tick failure if you'd have went short there. And notice we actually got a tick higher than that over here, so it would have been a failure, and you would have got stopped out most likely. But notice we did make a new low, and then we get a second entry, and look how bearish that is. And that could be considered a double test. But again, you got to go short right into all that. So I just don't, I'm too leery of it. I just don't like it. And you got to be concerned about it. And this is a double top, so you could consider this the second entry as well. And that's a nice big bearish bar. But look, every time we've gotten down here, we've bounced. And we would have bounced again. You would have survived that one. But now you got a double test and a little small bar and some room here. So this was the better place to enter. Even though you would have survived either one of those, being right into all that support, I just don't think it's very smart, because actually you've actually got a bunch of support right across there too. But I would have moved it down to that close, and notice that's exactly where we close the next go around. But now you finally got a little room, so I like entering there. And you would have caught a runner on that one, and look at it go. And another thing I would have done is, once you made this low right here, I drew my trend line across there, and I drug it back, and notice that's exactly where you expect something to happen. That's exactly where it happens. And notice we're working up. You got a little channel, you get a close outside, and it shoots up and turns down right where you're looking for that to happen. It makes a double top. That's not a very good signal bar, so you might have let it break lower and drop the limit order back. Or you might have even waited on this one and let it break below there, and then put your limit sell order back here where it should have been. And I believe you would have got filled again. And then it comes back again. It actually looks like it's going to bounce, and it comes up and turns back down, and that's definitely going to be a long trap there. I made it green, but again, I just think it's very risky to be going short into all that. So I really didn't even want to make it green, but you know, you've got this big move down. You're probably going to get a measured move, at least off of this original big move, if not this one. And so that's going to put prices on down here. So you may risk that one. And it is right off the EMA. And really, you've got a double top here and a lower high. And this thing has been trending down. The EMA is pointing straight down. So notice up here it was a little flatter. So you're going to be a lot less hesitant to enter short there. But now you're really starting to get some momentum, so you might risk it here. I'm still making it green because lately we've had a lot of failures, but that EMA it's telling you something there. So that's the one, if you want to call that an indicator, that's the one indicator that we do help us determine whether the market's trending or flat, and where it's likely to turn down again. And notice it comes back here. Notice there's a move up, move down, another move back up, and a fairly bearish bar, but we're not back to that trend line. And that's generally going to be risky. So, and we don't have a break of this trend line. There's a little channel there. I don't have the other side on it, but it's there. You ought to be able to see that with your naked eye. And so I'm not going to risk that one. And by the time it gets down here, it looks like a repeat pattern almost. So of this whole thing over here, really. It's a little weaker than that one, but again, I'm not really, sorry, had a little interruption there. I'm not really crazy about entering right here into those lows for all the reasons we've already talked about. And then we do get this little channel moving up here, and we pull back, but we get a break of that channel. If this would have turned down, and it's really not a failed second entry short, but there's two legs up and then a little failure and a fairly bullish bar that was going lower. So you might consider entering there, but again, this has been a fairly strong downtrend, and this is the first break, so I don't think you really want to be looking for any longs yet. I mean, I didn't even really want to make that one um, green, but there's some reasons to argue that one. And once we started, notice your first leg, once we started going up, there's a good opportunity. We're probably going to get a measured move up. And then you pull back and you get that little trap there. But again, you're better to wait on that lower high, which doesn't come till over here. And that's just too close to those lows again. Not to at least have one more failed attempt to go higher, which comes here. And so you really could argue to enter on this one as red, because you make a double top. You got a two-legged correction. That's a fairly bearish bar. If it had been a perfect bearish bar, I probably would have made it at least green, but wait on a lower high, which comes here. And it's another attempt to go higher. So now you've got another push up. So I like entering there. And then when it comes back again and fails, I really like entering. So you could add on to this one. And that got us into the 2 o'clock hour. So, but yeah, until this thing starts trending a little stronger, and I'd be very wary of some of these entries in this, like in here, unless you've got plenty of room like there. But all of these that are getting so close to these lows and so close to these highs, you got to be really leery of those right now. So there's just too many failures going on. And I don't think that's really typical, but it seems like the last week or two we've had a bunch of that. So just be aware of it. But I'm going to wrap it up. We're done for the week. And we'll be back again to do it next week on Monday. Hope you had a good trading week. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be back. We'll see you again on Monday. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.